Hey everybody, is Sam going to be successful in her matchmaking attempts again? Or is she going to fail? Is Marguerite successful as her matchmaking series continues? Shall we find out? Welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Kristina, Kristina. And we are doing... Oh, and please hit the like and subscribe. Let me know I'm doing a good job. I just read books and talk about books. There's nothing special going on here. There's no special effects. There's nothing popping in. I don't even know how to put the subscribe button in. So anyway, we are doing the Argeneau series. And we've done the first 9. Quick Bite, Lynsay and Dr. Gregory's book. And Love Bites, Argeneau, Rachel Garrett, Single White Vampire, Lucerne and Kate, Tall Duck and Hungry, Bastion and Terry, Bite to Remember, Vincent, Argeneau and Jackie, Bite Me If You Can is Lucerne and Lise, Accidental Vampire is Roll Your Head Back in Your Eyes, Elvie and Victor, Vampires Are Forever, Book 8, Book 9, Vampire Interrupted, are Marguerite and Julius Note. And then we started the new, it's like a soap opera. So if you're like me, if you're a series person and you like series and you like to read series and you like to read about the progression of characters from book to book to book, then this is definitely a series for you. And this series, like the Carolyn Sparks series, which I'm also doing, the At Stake series, the At Stake series, they have the good vampires, and then they call the bad vampires the malcontents. And the malcontents are the ones that still feed from the people, whereas the good vampires feed from the bag. And we have a similar situation in the Argeneaux, where the good vampires feed from the bag and the vampires still feed from the neck. And then there's this large group called the No-Fangers, who are Leonos's descendants, who also feed from the neck, and they have no fangs. They're called No-Fangers. They have no fangs. They actually have to bite to drink. So we started out with the Rogue Hunter. The Rogue Hunter. And we have, there's a rogue vampire up in the mountains, and Lucerne has sent the enforcers, or the vampire police, to the cabins to investigate. And there's a little secret spoiler in the new book that we will talk about later. So they send Garrett Mortimer, Justin Bricker, and Decker Argeneau up to the cabins to find the rogue vampire that's been biting people. And in the cabin next to them are 3 sisters. And as things go on, one of the Garrett Mortimer discovers that his life mate is Samantha Willen. And at the end of the story, they catch the one rogue vampire hunter, one rogue vampire. But it turns out he's not the real rogue. He was only doing it biting from the neck because the Argeneau office secretary had a thing against him and wouldn't send him the blood. And then he says, oh, by the way, my friend Nicholas. And they're like, oh my God, Nicholas. Oh my God, he's been missing 50 years. We gotta go search him. So they go searching after him. And that's the rogue. And then we get into the Immortal Hunter. And in this book, they're going to search for Nicholas. And they find out that Nicholas has discovered Leonos's children, and in their search for Nicholas, they discover Leonos's children who have been killing people and have been leaving them in mass graves. So then, in this particular book, they have kidnapped two girls, Stephanie and Danielle. They're quite young. And it's as the story progresses, it's discovered that Decker is Danielle's life mate. And we've got to pursue this to the end with the rogues, etc. See my video for more details. Then in Renegade Hunter, we actually catch up with Nicholas, and it's discovered that Sam has brought her sister Josephine up to the Immortal Compound, Lucian's compound, and she's been trying to set her sister up with the vampires so she can keep her sister in her life, but none of them are turning out to be a life mate. So Jo goes outside because she needs a breath of fresh air, and she runs into Nicholas, and the relationship pursues from there. And then after Jo's experiences in the book, she thinks, wait a second here, Nicholas, you've got all these empty spaces in your memory. You don't remember all these things particularly, and that's what happened to me. I think you're innocent. I think someone played with your mind. So then we go into Born to Bite, and they go talk to Nicholas's father, who also had three of his wives die accidentally, and you'll have to see the video for further details, but it turns out that the three wives were actually murdered, and what their murders have to do with Nicholas's wife's murder is connected, and it's proven in this book, so you'll have to get to this. So then we're up to today's book, Hungry for You. Again, Sam is trying to play the matchmaker. She's trying to be a Marguerite for this generation. And where's the... Okay. So she calls, Kale comes to the compound, and they tell him, Sam tells him she wants him to meet her sister Alex because she may be his life mate. And the exchange, they come in, and Sam has decided after all these months that she's going to go through the change and become a vampire. And it's just, Mortimer loses. She's afraid. It's so hard to, I know, but this is silly. But while I'm smart and hardworking and basically nice, I'm not. Voice was slightly embarrassed as she said, well, I'm not just some sexy, gorgeous vamp type of gal who can hold the attention of guys like you for eternity. Honey, you're beautiful. I look like olive oil, Mortimer. The words burst into the air on a breath of exasperation, as if she thought that should be obvious. And then we skip it. Cal tore the empty bag from his mouth and glanced to Bricker with confusion, his voice a bare whisper as he asked, olive oil? Bricker removed his own bag and explained in a hushed tone, Popeye's girlfriend. When Cal continued to stare at him blankly, he rolled his eyes. She's a cartoon character, dark hair, huge eyes, and as spindly as a stick. Sam is, honey, I have eyes. I know you look like olive oil. Bricker stopped his explanation on a low curse and squeezed his eyes closed briefly. He then turned his head back toward the door, muttering with disgust, you old guys are so bloody smooth, honestly. Caleb could have liked to argue the point, but really, even he who hadn't bothered with women in what seemed like forever, knew Mortimer's words had been the wrong thing to say. Obviously, Mortimer realized it too. He began to babble. I mean, you're beautiful to me. I love your smile and the way your eyes twinkle when you're amused or teasing, but I still look like olive oil, Sam said in a tone that made it obvious she wasn't impressed with the man's efforts to save the situation. Not really. There was a distinct lack of conviction in Mortimer's voice, but it was stronger when he added, Look, honey, the point is, I don't see you through some rose-colored glasses. My love isn't based on some shallow fantasy image of you, and I'm not going to suddenly wake up one day and notice you have knobby knees. Knobby knees? I no, he assured her quickly, sounding a bit panicked now. Now, of course, you aren't knobby. I just mean I know exactly how you look. I do see you and what you are. You're not some silly fantasy like Jessica Rabbit. Jessica Rabbit, Sam echoed with disbelief. You have fantasies about Jessica Rabbit, a cartoon rabbit? Caleb's eyes rose at that. He's been alive long enough and fantasized about a lot of things, but never a cartoon rabbit. You gotta love it. He just digs his own little grave. So anyways, so they're telling, after all this happens, they're telling Cal that they want to set him up with her sister. And, there's an exchange where it's revealed that he came because Marguerite suggested it. And when they all hear that Marguerite suggested it, they know it's a done deal. They believe absolutely 100% that he is Alex's life mate, and it's just done. So Sam calls Alex, and Alex is like, I can't. My chef just quit. And apparently someone has been sabotaging her business. She had a really good business and she decided to open a second place, and someone is sabotaging, hiring away her chef, vandalizing her restaurant, vandalizing her car, attacking her, sabotaging her orders for furniture for her restaurant and paint for her restaurant and the whole 9 yards. So they tell her initially that Kale can cook and that he's a European sous chef. Well, Kale hasn't had food in like 5, 6, 7, 800 years, and he has no idea how to cook. So they fake it for the first night, but then he comes clean and says, you know what? I'd rather be your business manager. You need a business manager. So he starts fixing all the stuff that the saboteur had been saboteuring. And then things come to a little bit of a header. They had been starting to get a little mushy and a little romantic, and there's some hot, steamy stuff going on. And then one of the saboteurs tries to run Kale off the road. And when they run Kale off the road, and see, the problem was Kale was so busy with his fantasizing about Alex in the bedroom that he wasn't really paying attention to the driver with whose malicious intent, and he shoved Kale off the road. And she was in a separate car. They had taken separate cars to go to this place. So Alex gets a car and she finds Kale has been severely damaged and she wants to call 911. And he's like, no. He goes, get the cooler out of the trunk. And she's like, you can't have beer now. He goes, no blood. So she gets the cooler, brings over the cooler, open it up, and it's full of the blood bags. And she starts to panic, and she gives him like 2 bags. And then she starts with the, what are you? And she's starting to panic, and she's thinking that she's trying to figure out if he bit her before. And then she's thinking of his connection to Mortimer. And then she starts thinking why Sam had suddenly dumped her career. She'd worked hard to her whole life just to play den mother to Mortimer and his friends, and that Mortimer was controlling Sam, probably using her as a walking body bag and sex slave. She had to go warn her, and Alex just goes, and her mind just explodes with all this stuff, and she's and she runs to the compound to see her sister, and she gets there when she's in the middle of her turn. So she walks in, and her sister is screaming a bloody mind out because her body is being converged. And I'm like, oh, good God. So then Marguerite comes in, and she takes her aside, and she sits down and has a little chit-chat. So you will have to read the book to find out who the saboteur is and how they fixed that problem, and if Alex will accept Cal as her life mate when she's exposed to all this vampire stuff. It's a really good read. It's a really good steamy read. It's one of those, it leans more towards the romancy than the first books. But like I said, this is the start of the new series. So you start with Rogue Hunter. Well, it's all part of the same series, but I just call this part 2. It's like a soap opera, and this is the new storyline. So we start with Rogue Hunter and Immortal Hunter, and then Renegade Hunter, and Born to Bite, and you end with Hungry for You, and we will be moving on to the next book, The Reluctant Vampire. Oh, and I made a little, because the earlier books have a little bit of a family tree in it. So I made one to show where Kalis is descended. He's Darius' son. So that's how they did it. So they went back to, but yeah, I sort of kind of missed this from the earlier books. I love the family tree. So you'll have to check it out, and please hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job. Like I said, I'm just reading books, talking books. That's it. So if you're into the Argeneaus, please hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job. Thank you.